Christopher Ward are not messing around. It was only a few months ago that they came out with the 12, their integrated bracelet watch that really is a PRX killer. And now they've come out with a 36mm version. This is probably one of the quickest turnarounds of a smaller version of a watch that I've ever seen. We know that the PRX came out years ago. However, they just recently came out with a 35mm version of the PRX with the Powermatic 80. So today I have hands-on the ice blue or light blue version of this 36mm new 12. Let's flip the camera and take a look at the 36mm 12 from Christopher Ward. So here it is. This is Christopher Ward's latest release. It comes out today on their website. This is the 36mm version of their really popular 12. The 12 was announced a few months ago in 40mm. It came out in titanium and stainless steel. They are now announcing or releasing a 36mm version in stainless steel. This is the light blue dial, a very, very popular dial for them with obvious reasons. It's a very good looking watch. Now, when this watch came out, I had the titanium version in purple and I also had the silver version in stainless steel, and I loved both of those watches. This is a downsized version of that stainless steel watch. So what that means is you're getting essentially the same look in a smaller package. It gets a Sellita SW200, which you can see from the back. This gets a beautiful bracelet on it, and I've always said that the Tissot PRX has an amazing bracelet, but when they came out with this watch, I really think that they took it up a notch over what the PRX offers. And I've said this in a few different videos. I think that this sits in between somewhere where higher end watches sit and of course the PRX. I think this is a nicer watch than the PRX. You get screwed links in the bracelet, a beautiful chamfered edge down the sides of the bracelet, which you don't get with the PRX. The case gets the same treatment, and then you have that 12-sided bezel. That's where it gets its name from. There's polish on there, there's brushing, and of course you're getting a textured dial. They couldn't do this without a textured dial because obviously the competition has a textured dial as well. So what they did here is they put a cross motif. It's basically the Christopher Ward logo repeated all over the dial. The indices on this dial are polished and they are filled with lume. They look like fangs, so they're sort of triangular in nature and they're pointed towards the center of the dial, and then you have the applied logo, you have a dagger for the hour hand, and then of course sort of a fence post dagger for the minutes hand, and then you have a long needle for the seconds hand. It just says automatic down below at the 6 o'clock position or above the 6 o'clock position. Right below the 6 o'clock position it just says Swiss made because this is a Swiss made watch. Beautiful execution on these watches. Some people have complained about the legibility of these, especially in this color and the silver color, because obviously the contrast between the indices and hands and that dial, plus you add in that deep texture that they put on here. It's a very deep texture. It is a little bit hard to read in certain light. When there is direct light sort of washing out the dial, it is a little bit hard to read. You have these crown guards. There are screws there. You have a screwed-in crown, and you have a screwed-in case back where you can see the Sellita SW200, which is decorated with the Christopher Ward motif. You get quick release, and the quick release is kind of weird on this watch. It's actually on the case, not on the bracelet. So when you actually release the bracelet, it is not the quick release on the bracelet, it's the quick release on the actual case, which is actually pretty cool. And you do get 100 meters of water resistance. So this is a true sports watch that you could wear every day. And if you have a smaller wrist, this is going to be a very big deal for a lot of people. In fact, I know some people, when I had those 40mm versions in for review, they were very upset that it was a 40mm watch. They thought it was too big. I actually thought that that was a great sized watch, especially for someone with a 7.5-inch wrist, but I could see how someone with a smaller wrist would really enjoy this watch. You do have a slightly raised crystal on here, but it's just as thin as that stainless steel version. And that was one of my favorite things about this watch. They kept it thin, and obviously they knew the competition had a thin watch as well. So 10 millimeters thick, which is excellent. You have a small crown on here, but it's sized to the watch, 4.8 millimeters. And then you do have very long female end links on here, and you can see that they are female end links, but unfortunately they sort of protrude all the way out. So the lug to lug, including those, is 47 millimeters, which is really not that bad. Not including those, it's in the neighborhood of like 37 millimeters, something crazy like that. It's not a very long lug to lug. The case measures on here just around 35 and change. So I've measured this a few times. If you catch it on the actual case on both sides, you get under 36 millimeters. If you catch it just by the crown, you get around 35.5 millimeters. I would say this is a 36 millimeter watch. It's just a hair below 36 millimeters. Plus you have these crown guards, so I would say it wears like a 36 millimeter spot on. Today on my wrist, I have the new Christopher Ward GMT. I believe this is the Sealander. I can't remember exactly which model this is, but it does get their new bracelet, which is phenomenal. I am very, very impressed with this bracelet. It's not a Jubilee style bracelet per se, but it's a little bit different. It's like a multi-link bracelet is what I would call it. And it looks really, really good, especially with this blue dial. This blue, sort of electric blue dial looks fantastic. Well, there it is on my 7.5 inch wrist. This watch is around a 36 millimeter watch. I've measured it under 36 millimeters, but it is a 36 millimeter watch and it wears at home on my 7.5 inch wrist. I think it looks really, really good. It's 10 millimeters thick, and then of course the lug to lug does not bother my wrist because obviously I have a very large wrist and I could definitely pull this off. I think a lot of people can pull this off even with that lug span because of those male or female end links. It's not that big of a deal. I think it definitely will work. Price on this is $1,225. It's exactly the same price as its bigger brother, as the 40 millimeter version. So they're not charging extra or charging less. They're charging the exact same amount, which is a good thing. So $1,225. Lume is great on this watch. The only thing, of course, that I will complain about is that you do not have lume on the second hand. I like to see lume on the second hand so I could see the watch working in the dark. Other than that, very liberally applied with lume. Really bright, brighter than what you get from the PRX. I've said this before. I've actually done a comparison of the two watches, so if you are interested, definitely check out that video. Really a sharp watch, really nicely made, very, very good looking, and I would really love to get a 35 millimeter version of the PRX in for review so I could do a direct comparison to this watch to see how they wear differently, the 35 versus the 36 millimeters. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I know Christopher Ward have been knocking it out of the park recently, and again, they are so quick to market as well. They had to have this under development while they came out with that 40 millimeter version because they came out with this so quick. It took a very long time for Tissot to come out with the 35 millimeter version of the PRX, and obviously they had this up their sleeve and this came out very, very quickly. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel and I very much appreciate it. Anyway guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.